Rob, I have another snack to share with the audience.
You've been all over it. I've been trying to find something the last couple of weeks, and I've just not found anything interesting.
Well, I've been shopping too much, I guess. But this is what I hinted at last episode, which is I'm going to shake the bag and you can listen. This is Lesser Evil popcorn, watermelon hibiscus flavor.
That is, I mean, firstly, historically, we've not had a lot of luck with interesting popcorn flavors.
No, we haven't.
If you remember, I tried the KFC one, which I couldn't even give away to my office. Like, it got thrown away. It was that bad. There's definitely been a couple more. Like, popcorn has not been a high-ranking snack in the history of this show.
No, that's true. And you know what? I'm here to tell you that I think I have found an actual very strange but very good popcorn. This is not bad popcorn. I would compare it to a kettle corn, which is usually like a lightly sweetened popcorn that is popular in the U.S. I don't know if you have kettle corn in the U.K. It's not caramel corn. It's more like it has a light sweetness to it. And, you know, it's the kind of thing you can find at like a fair, an outdoor event or something. But they also bag it up and you can buy it at a supermarket. And this is a little bit like that, but with a hint of flavor. I mean, and it's more watermelon than hibiscus, but it's got a nice sweet summertime flavor. I was shocked that it's as good as it is. So I'm actually going to say, you know what? If you like a lightly sweet popcorn, go for it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, firstly, their website is very nice, this company.
It's organic, you know. It's got Himalayan pink salt on it, too. So it's got all those.
Very nice.
It's gluten-free. It's got a lot going for it.
They've got an avocado flavor one on the website.
Honestly, I've eaten much more unhealthy snacks than this one. This is on the healthy end of the spectrum for ruminate, for sure.
Oh yeah, I mean, popcorn's basically just air. You're fine. You can eat all of it.
Crunchy air with a light dusting of some watermelon flavor. We should check the ingredients to see if this is real watermelon or not. Let's see here. It has organic watermelon hibiscus seasoning. So that which is made up of organic raw cane sugar, organic tapioca solids, all right, organic hibiscus flavor, and organic beet powder, and organic watermelon flavor. So it also contains some organic watermelon juice. So there's some real watermelon in here, Rob.
Well, I mean, it's basically fruit at this point.
It's basically your fruit. This is your fruit group. This is not like eating, I don't know, Sour Patch Kids watermelon flavor or something like that. This is just like eating a real fresh watermelon right off the vine.
Yeah, this is basically a health snack.
It is.
I think you're fine.
I feel healthier already, having had some as we were getting ready to do the show.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Well, all right, that's enough for snacks. We promised we would not talk about AI, and I'm not going to talk about AI today, other than to say that since we last spoke, we did at Mac Stories, we did this open letter thing. Did you read my open letter, Rob?
Oh, yes, I did. I think you did an excellent job at writing this.
Thank you very much. And Federico did a nice intro to it, too. The whole idea here was, as if you wind back the clock, is that, we talked a little bit last time about what we are doing to try to protect ourselves against these AI crawler bots. And a lot of those solutions are imperfect at best, like the robot.txt file. But in the interim, we have also, you did some server-side things for us and that you did also on your own website. And we enabled this new Cloudflare thing where they can detect bots, even if the bots aren't advertising themselves through their user agent, which I don't know how well that works, but figured it was worth a shot. It's part of the free Cloudflare integration, so it's of no cost to us. And also in that article a while back that I referenced, I also said that we were going to call for some change, some like legislative change in the EU and the US, because that's where Mac Stories is based after all, in those two places. And so that's what we did. We actually followed through with that and wrote a letter to a bunch of US congressmen, senators in particular, who had sponsored AI legislation in the US in the past, as well as the Italian members of an AI committee in the EU. This AI committee in the EU probably has 60 different parliament members in it. So instead of sending it to everybody, we just sent it to the Italians. In Italian, of course. So we did that, and I think that the letter maybe got overlooked a little bit by some people, only because it's like, you figure, it's one of these weird legalistic letters. It's actually not. It's designed to explain the problem in a plain and understandable way to people who probably don't understand these issues very well, which are, politicians by and large. I think they fit that bill pretty well. So I think it's actually a pretty good read. I was pretty happy with the way it came out. I wanted to mention it only because I think it's in one place a good representation of what both I and Federico think about this issue, which isn't really anywhere else unless you listen to all the podcasts and read all the little things we write and all that stuff. It's kind of a nice one-stop shop for figuring out what we think about this, which I think is important because I don't expect everybody to agree with us. Obviously, many people don't. I have been called many names over the last couple of weeks, including hysterical, hypocritical, hater of technology, a lot of things. But the reality is that there are issues here, I think, that are worth considering about what the future of the web looks like. And since this is a show about that, and if you're interested in that, I thought people might want to read it. So I would point people in that direction.
Yeah, and I think this, as you say, we'll make sure it's in the show notes, but I think this kind of thing, I feel pretty strongly about, in general, not the AI part of this, but if you're annoyed about something, if there's something that you think is wrong, regardless of what your government situation is, write to the people that represent you about those things.
Right.
If we don't do that, the only people they hear from are the people that do write their things. Whatever that happens to be, whatever issue people are writing letters about or, sending emails, that kind of thing. If we don't do this, why are we even voting for anybody to begin with?
Right. No, I think that's a very good point. And I would reiterate what we've said on Mac Stories before is if anybody wants to use our letter, link to it or copy it or just, send it to somebody and say, me too, go for it. Totally fine with us. The purpose of this is to get a little bit of action behind and a little bit of a voice behind this issue, because I think it does affect more than just our website. It affects a lot of people in similar situations. So, take a look at it, and if you support it, send it to your local legislators, because I think this is the kind of thing that we've focused on the EU and the US, but this is obviously an issue in every country. It's not just those places, and so it would be good for other governments to hear from their constituents too.
Yeah, and as soon as I can work out who is in charge of these things and when they actually have contact details, because we have a brand new government that was installed on Friday, so even my new MP, there's no way to contact her right now. Once that all settles, I will find out who to send it to, and I will send it.
Excellent.
But, I think that's going to take a couple of weeks while they, most of them don't even have offices yet, so I'll give them a couple of weeks until I can actually contact them properly.
Yeah, it's been quite an election, series of elections between the UK and France over just the last few days. It's been kind of wild, but it's been crazy. But anyway, I want to transition straight into reminding people that if you would like to support Mac Stories, Ruminate in particular, one way to do that is to join Club Mac Stories. And really, these days, I think supporting the people who make the content that you like directly is more important than ever. One of the reasons we're able to speak out about things like some of these AI issues is because we're not beholden to platforms. We have some platforms that we use at Mac Stories. Obviously, we're on WordPress, things like that. But we're not beholden to things like Google Ads, because we don't have any Google Ads. We just do one sponsor a week. But because we do just one sponsor a week, it's also very important that we're supported by club members. And club members who join Club Mac Stories aren't just supporting us out of the goodness of their hearts. They also get something in return for that, which is our newsletters. They get things like an early version of Mac Stories Unwind that is ad-free. And depending on what level you sign up at, you can join our Discord, which is a great community of really smart, like-minded people who are discussing apps and the OS betas and all sorts of things, media, TV, movies. Rob's in there a lot. I'm in there a lot. We're all over there in the Discord. And there's ways to, you can also get App Stories Plus that way too. So I just encourage everybody, if you would like to support Mac Stories, check out the club at plus.club. All right, Rob.
Yeah, absolutely. I will just say as well, the pre-shows, the member bits that go before some of the shows, that's like, there's some really good stuff in that. Like, it's well worth signing up for that stuff. That's the stuff I love the most.
Good. Well, I'm glad you like it. So that would be great if people would check that out. Let's talk, Rob, about some other things. I wanted to get an update from you in particular about EchoFeed, because I know that, since we last spoke, I guess, Threads has come out with their API, and I know you were going to integrate Threads with EchoFeed, and you were working on the code for that. But last I heard, you had some issues because there were some bugs on Meta's end, not on your end, that were preventing you from getting your app approved.
Yeah, so the first, I basically had this code from the day the API released. I probably had it done in a day or two. There's nothing particularly difficult there. I did make a mistake the first day. I was using the wrong API keys, but that was just my stupid fault. But then I couldn't see a button to be able to submit it for review, because this is what you have to do with Meta, with Threads, with Instagram. You have to actually submit your quote-unquote app for review. You have to give them an overview video. You have to give them login details.
What are they looking for? Because you're just posting. I mean, they have pretty limited endpoints for what you can post, right? I mean, why do they care about looking at your app? To assume, I guess they want to make sure you're not some kind of spam bot or something.
I guess I think they're just way more strict than other places. I find this very strange. I mean, this isn't, I'm not building a whole thing that interacts with the entire platform. The only things I've got permission to do is like fetch your account details, and I'm talking like username and name, and post a thread. That's it. Like I can't even fetch that thread back. Like once it's posted, that's it.
Right, because that's the whole API is about posting. This is not. I mean, this is one of the things I think was mistaken on the internet early on, was that this is not the API, the kind of API where you could build Ivory, for instance, but for Threads, because there's no way to create a timeline. It's only for posting, right?
Yeah, exactly. So basically, because I need to put together like a test account, and I need to somehow lock that down. Like I'm still working through the details of how I can even put this together to get this through app review. And I did see as well Manton over at Microblog, like, he's been through this before because he has integrations with all sorts of stuff. And he initially got rejected. And I'm not sure where that's got to, but it just seems a bit, it feels a little bit overkill for something that is literally just posting, to the API. I'm hoping to be able to, submit it maybe this week if I get time. It's been pretty busy at the moment, but yeah, it's just one of those things where instead of being nice like Mastodon or Microblog's API or, any of the other services I integrate with, even Discord, for example, like it's just this extra additional step that actually puts a lot of work on the developer just to be able to do these, what I consider pretty basic things with their API.
Yeah, it sounds like more work than actually writing the code itself. I mean, given what you're able to even do with the API. Do you know why Manton was rejected? Because I would think that he would be doing something very similar to what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is his code is pretty much identical to mine. I believe he said he just got rejected because they couldn't demonstrate that it worked properly.
Okay.
Because I guess the problem is with Microblog and EchoFeed would be the same thing. Like, it's not like you can just go on there, type a thing, and it just goes to Threads. You know, it's a cross poster. The microblog is the same. You make a new blog post, and then it will cross post to Threads, or in EchoFeed's case, it comes through an RSS feed. So it feels like it's just this weird, sort of slightly more difficult thing to demo and get through whatever their human review process is.
Right. Because of the automation aspect of it. If they don't have a way to test that with their own feed, that maybe the easiest thing to do is to get them a trial account on Micro.blog or something, so they have an RSS feed that they can generate a post to and see how it actually works. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do, my plan is probably to create a test account on EchoFeed and like add buttons in the UI just for that account, where it's like, add a new thing to the RSS feed so that they can see it cross-post or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm going to have to work something out. But it is kind of annoying that I've got like make a video and all of this. It's like there's no... It's very frustrating for something that should be fairly simple.
Yeah, that is too bad, because I know it didn't take you very long to actually do the code itself, and I know probably there are a lot of people who are eager to use it for that service. So, yeah. All right. Well, hopefully by the next time we talk, you'll have something to report.
Yeah, with a bit of luck. With a bit of luck, yeah.
All right, we'll see. All right. Well, you know what? I wanted to also talk to you about AirPods and something that I realized that they've really become one of my most essential things that I carry with me every day. And the reason I realized this is that I got an ear infection just like a 5-year-old, Rob. Just like your daughter probably has had a few ear infections in her life already. I got an ear infection about a week and a half ago. And I woke up on a Saturday morning and it was really painful. And so I ended up going on antibiotics. And then my ear was very sore. And even if I wanted to, the doctor didn't want me to, but even if I wanted to, I couldn't have really put an AirPod in. It would have been too uncomfortable. So I stayed off my AirPods for like 10 days or so. And I really miss them because they've become this thing where even when... I don't know. I mean, it's how I listen to my podcast. It's how I listen to music. It's when I'm walking around doing errands. I get the announcements from Siri and I send text messages. I just realized that they have become really the integral kind of AR device in a lot of ways that the Vision Pro certainly hasn't. Which is the most expensive, least used product in my household. It's not that I don't like it, but it's just not something that you throw on and walk out the door with the way you do with AirPods, which can always be in your pocket and you can pull them out at any moment and just listen to a little something, or interact with your phone still in your pocket, which, I was surprised that, I mean, I know that I use them a lot, but I was surprised at just how much I really did miss them in that week and a half.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have AirPods anymore. I have the Beats Buds.
Okay, well, it's the same thing, though, because it's got the same tech in it, basically.
Right. I totally agree with you. I think it's kind of amazing. Obviously, initially it was just the AirPods, but now, there are hundreds of companies that make these. I mean, Anchor make them, Samsung, Google, basically every company has these little tiny wireless earbuds, which still blows my mind that the batteries can last as long as they can. Yep. But it's just kind of incredible. And you're right, like that. Just that form factor of having this little sort of tablet packet in your pocket, little sort of matchstick box type thing.
Yeah.
To be able to just pull a headphone out, and as you say, go about your day, and you can pop one in if you're just walking around and you need to be able to hear or whatever. You've got both, the noise cancelling on, even on, the cheaper Beats Buds and stuff like that is really good.
Yeah, it really is. And it's big for working, right? Like if you're in a coffee shop or whatever, being able to kind of drown out the noise around you is pretty nice.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's kind of an amazing product category that I'm not even sure Apple knew was going to be a product category in and of itself when they made the AirPods. I think they probably knew they were going to be popular. But if you go on Amazon, I mean, every single company you can think of makes these, and you can you can pick up really cheap ones for £20-30. You can spend £500 on some crazy high end versions. It really is impressive.
I will say though that I think that the AirPods and the Beats too, for that matter, have an advantage, which is the integration with the OS. Because I recently was testing, I'm still kind of testing, the Sennheiser Momentum 4 sports earbuds, which are pretty expensive, like $300 earbuds that can take your body temperature and your pulse through the headphones. And they work with like the Polar app. Polar makes a bunch of like chest straps for, checking your heart rate and tracking that when you're exercising. And they sound really good, but I immediately noticed when I went out running with them one day was that because they're just Bluetooth headphones, first of all, they're more fiddly to pair. They don't pair quite as seamlessly as either the Beats or the AirPods. And two, you don't get things like the Siri announcements over your headphones, which I actually really like because I do, if I'm out and about, I do like to get my text messages that way sometimes and hear what's going on. But so I think, and that's one of those things that brought me back immediately to the DOJ, our friend the DOJ, Rob. And this is one of the many not fun conversations that we've had over the course of the year between the DMA, the DOJ, and AI. I'm a little tired of heavy topics. But one of the things the DOJ said was that other headphones and other accessories need to be able to pair and work and interoperate with headphones better and with the Apple Watch better than it does. And this was a good example to me because I haven't actually used a lot of Bluetooth headphones other than ones made by Apple before. And I can really I can kind of see the argument now because I had to think about how do I pair these and what's missing compared to what I normally get from my Beats Fit or, my AirPods Pro. And so there is something to that argument. I think that there's that extra layer that makes the AirPods a little extra magical, I guess, when you're using those with an Apple Watch. Because what I do is when I go exercise, I don't bring my phone. I'm connecting directly to the watch, and I'm not necessarily using cellular. Sometimes I have stuff downloaded, whether it's a podcast or music or whatever. But it's much easier to connect to a watch if you have an Apple set of headphones than if you have a third-party Bluetooth pair.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something I've done. I used to pair my AirPods to my watch, but yeah, I haven't actually tried to pair something like I've got some Anchor wireless headphones. I've not tried to connect those to my watch, but yeah, I can imagine that would be a real pain.
Oh, we got one more topic today, Rob. This is one that you raised, and I'm wholeheartedly here for it because this is something that caught my eye this week too.
Yes, this is the CMF Phone 1 by Nothing, which what a name, but whatever. We could all move on from the the weird name. But this is like a modular sort of phone, so it has this little knob on the back that you can attach accessories to. You can easily swap the back case and the color and stuff like that. But I think what jumped out at most people is the price of this thing. So it's it's an Android phone, and even the 256 gig model is only £240. You compare that to an iPhone 15 at £800-900 or whatever they are now.
Yep.
And obviously they're not entirely comparable because they're a cheaper phone and stuff like that. But and also it's a fun design. It's interesting. It's different.
Yeah, it is.
Like I feel like everybody with an iPhone is like, oh right, oh yeah, you can do fun colours and interesting things that Apple are never going to do because just the sheer scale of how many phones they sell.
Yeah, and there are some compromises, of course, but it's a 2-lens camera, but it's a 50 megapixel camera for what it's worth, and it has an OLED display that's 6.7 inches, and I think it refreshes at 120 hertz. So it's actually pretty good specs, and this the chipset in it is a pretty good one too. So all those things combined, it makes the $200 price pretty killer. And the thing that really made me think about it more than anything else was as a gaming device, because even if you don't put a SIM card in this thing, just using it over Wi-Fi and loading it up with games, the nice thing about Android is that emulators have been on there forever. You can do all your retro games, you can play modern games, because most of the most popular modern games are on the Google Play Store, just like they're on the App Store. And you can stream from this thing, because I don't recall what the what flavor of Wi-Fi it has, but you could stream from an Xbox or from a cloud service or something like that.
Yeah, it's just a really interesting device, I think, to see something like this from a sort of newer company as well. Speaking of gaming, which you just mentioned, I shared with you a concept that I saw on Reddit, which is the sort of somebody sort of did this concept of a slide-out controller that would come out the back of the phone. I mean, I really hope somebody makes this, because it kind of looks amazing.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, I've been toying with ideas like this too. I mean, one of the coolest things that I've seen recently is those foldable Microsoft phones that were out there for a while, that if you add a game controller to them, you can unfold them and have a top and bottom screen, and it makes it very much like a Nintendo DS, which is a really cool form factor, and I'd love to see that happen. The problem with foldables, of course, is that there's no foldable that's not expensive. I mean, they're by definition the most expensive phones out there.
Yeah, definitely, because essentially what you're doing, you've just got two massive screens.
Right.
So you're doubling the screen price on this. But yeah, I think these get delivered Friday for people. So I'd be interested to see what, I've watched some of the reviews, but I'm more interested to see, people I know that have ordered one. I want to know what they think of it, because I could see. You remember many years ago when I switched to Android?
Mm-hmm, I do.
For a year. I mean, I could. I certainly wouldn't do it now, because I just don't have the energy. But I could see, switching to kind of all this stuff that Nothing are making, because they've got the phones, they've got these two smartwatches that they make.
Yep.
They've got their own version of AirPods. Essentially, they've got 3 or 4 different versions, I think, and all of them are massively cheaper.
Yeah, they're
than
a lot more affordable.
The other equivalents. Yeah, I could totally see if I was to do that Android experiment now, this is probably where I'd be going.
Well, and it's easier to do today, I think, than it ever has been, because of the prevalence of web apps more than anything else. I mean, a lot of your core apps that a lot of people use day to day are going to be available on the Google Play Store, just like they are on the App Store, or available just via a web browser. So, I mean, I just know that from having used e-ink tablets and things that are based on Android, is that yes, there are limitations, and the Google Play Store is not as extensive nor as deep as Apple's App Store, but the big names are all there, and you can make it work. It definitely can make it work. And I think that, especially, I think this is a very intriguing product. And I guess to kind of hint at something, I guess, and cross-promote the various Mac Stories podcasts, I do know somebody who got this, which is a co-host of mine on NPC, who will have something to say about it on Next Portable Console not too long from now, assuming that deliveries happen the way you say they did. They're going to. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it looks like it's a Wi-Fi 6 device, so that's pretty good. That's pretty solid Wi-Fi too. So that's plenty fast for streaming.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, I feel like if I was doing that Android experiment now, this is where I'd be going, because this feels like the most interesting. At least from my point of view, this feels like the most interesting company doing things with phones and headphones, watches, all of this kind of stuff, and trying to sort of get that budget market as well.
Apple needs to get weird, Rob. They're not getting weird enough. I feel like we're in a moment where gadgets are becoming a thing again, and it's like a combination of people trying to infuse hardware with AI, combined with wearables, combined with, upstart phone makers like nothing. And all of a sudden, gadgets are kind of a thing again, and in e-ink for that matter, and the fact that there are higher refresh displays for e-ink make things like the Books Palma attractive to a lot of people. That there are a lot of cool gadgets out there, and they're very interesting to talk about, I think. It's one reason why NPC even exists as a podcast is because there is I don't know, there are probably 3 handheld gaming devices announced every single week. And they're far more interesting than Apple Arcade, for instance. I mean, it's right. I mean, the interest in the tech world is shifting away from Apple, I think, because as nice as all the products are, most of the products they make they are not very interesting. They're mostly iterative, and I think they need to get weird again. The Vision Pro was a step in the right direction, but it was this kind of step that's pointing towards a future 5 to 10 years down the road, as opposed to something cool that everybody can buy today.
Yeah, I just want fun.
Yeah,
fun tech.
Fun. Yeah,
I just want some interesting.
AirPods were that, right? When AirPods came out, that's what AirPods are. And I think that there's more of those kind of experiments that should be made. Smaller bets that can be iterated on instead of these big, huge swings that may or may not happen, like a car or a headset or whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, definitely.
I need to be in charge of that product design cycle.
Oh yes, please. Yeah, let's do it.
You and me. We're gonna advise. Johnny Ive, he retired. You and I can take his place.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm already British, so
yeah.
I'm halfway there.
I'll fill the left shoe. You fill the right shoe. We've got between the two of us, we've got a Johnny Ive.
There we go. All right, let's wrap it up, I think, for this week before we get too crazy.
All right, sounds good.